William Kin asks me on Quora, is it legal to call your company a name that's based on an existing trademark name? For example, Migosoft, Boogle, Fembung. My name is Andrei Answers, the founder of Trademark Factory, and here's my answer to this question. Okay, so let's go through this. Migosoft, well, I suppose it's based on Microsoft or Migosoft. Okay, Migo, whatever. Boogle, I suppose that's based on Google. And Fembung, I'm not really sure what Fembung is about. Is it Facebook? Fembung? I don't know. Whatever it is. So there's a few considerations here. First of all, are the industries the same as those other famous names? If the industries are totally different, if the products and services that you offer to the world are totally different from the products and services that those famous companies offer, then you'd be able to get away with it probably without any big issues. If the industry is the same, then it'd be a lot more problematic. The other thing to look at is how different are the actual names, right? So Migosoft or Migosoft versus Microsoft. I would say that's too close because the letters are the same, the first letters. So MI in the beginning and soft at the end, and G also looks, part of it at least, looks like a C. So visually, it's very similar to Microsoft. So that would probably not fly well with Microsoft, and the judges or the trademarks office is not going to let it fly. Now with Boogle, Google, I mean, it rhymes, but because the first couple of letters are different, you'd probably find it easier to get away with that. And as for Fembung, I don't even know what Fembung is based on. So my only assumption why it could be Facebook is because of the FA in the beginning. But really, that's usually not enough. So it's probably okay. Now, the last consideration I want to leave you with here is the further away your name is from that famous company, the less juice that you're gonna get out of that similarity, right? And if your brand does not create the association with that famous name, why even base your name on that famous name, right? But on the other hand, if your brand raises that association with a famous name, guess what's gonna happen? They're gonna go after you and shut you down. So really, you got this dilemma here because the only way to get away from them going after you is to make your name so much different from theirs that it wouldn't associate in the public mind, that your name wouldn't be associated in the public mind with theirs. And if you do that, then there's no value in copying your name, in basing your name on theirs. Because if nobody can make that mental link, if nobody can see the connection, then what's the point, right? And if somebody does see that connection, it gives them the ammunition to go after you for trademark infringement. So you're really in a lose-lose situation because the only way to get a free ride on their popularity is to have a brand that's too close to theirs, which is probably going to result in you being shut down. And if you can't create that, then what's the point? So one thing I always recommend is when you're building a business, you gotta own a brand. You gotta own your own brand. You gotta own a brand that's unique, that's memorable, and that's well protected. Because otherwise, you're just building a business that doesn't own its own brand. It's a business on very shaky foundation. And if your business is ever going to have a chance of becoming successful, not owning your own brand is gonna be a massive problem for you. It's going to be a problem that's going to cost you a lot more than getting a trademark on your business. And that's the problem that really you're going to see long before your business becomes huge, because the cost of acquiring customers, the cost of marketing, the cost of advertising, the cost of making sure that people know that you exist, the cost of standing out from your competition is so much greater when you don't have a brand that you own. That's the reason why every successful company owns their own brand. That's why every successful company owns a trademark, and many of them own multiple. That's the reason why, because they want to be able to capitalize on the brand. They want their brand to work for them. And it's very difficult to accomplish that if all you're trying to do is just copy somebody else's brand. Sophia Smith asks me on Quora, do you need both a trademark and a copyright for your store and brand? That really all depends. First, you need to understand the difference between trademarks and copyright. So trademarks protect the brand. They protect the name of the business. They protect the names of the products. They protect the names of the services that you offer. They may protect logos. They may protect taglines. So for your store and brand, that's what you would protect with trademarks. Copyright is typically only for protecting content, whether it's books, videos, software, music, photos, stuff like that. And there is some overlaps in case of logos, because you can own both the copyright in the logo and a trademark, and it will protect different things. But from the business perspective, you would rarely own copyright unless you're in a content generation business. Or, every time you post an ad somewhere, it is protected by copyright, but you don't need to worry about it because copyright is protected automatically. There are situations when it's a good idea to register copyright, but only, as I mentioned, if you are in a content distribution business. For example, when you sell courses, or if you're a publisher and you sell books, or if you're a music company, then you would be worried about copyrights primarily. Outside of that, if you're a regular business, if you got a store, you sell something, then you're typically only dealing with trademarks. James Collins asks me on Quora, how can I trademark my own name? Is it possible? So personal names are tricky, and they're dealt with differently in different countries. But the rule of thumb is, the more common your name is, the harder it is to trademark it. And for a good reason, because trademarks, by definition, allow you to stop others from using the same or similar name in association with the same or similar products and services. So if your name is John Smith, and you get a trademark on John Smith, let's say for accounting services, then that would allow you to stop all the other John Smiths from using their names in business if they were to go to become accountants. And again, in theory, that's not right. So that's the general rule, right? So the more common the name, the harder it is to trademark it. But again, different countries treat this differently. For example, in Canada, they look at whether the name appears more than a certain number of times in the white pages, right? So the book for every big city they'll look at, and if they find a city where the name is common enough, where you can find it more than a certain number of times, I believe it's 25. So if there are more than 25 John Smiths there, then you cannot trademark it. And in the US, it's slightly different. They require what's called secondary, meaning you have to show to the trademarks office that you have gotten to the point when the public recognizes that your name is an indicator of source of specific products and services for which you're trying to get a trademark, right? So for example, if you are a celebrity singer, right, or a celebrity coach, or a celebrity basketball player, or something like that, and a whole lot of public recognizes your name as the specific person, right? So not any John Smith, but a particular John Smith, then that would allow you to get a trademark on that. And also when you say personal name, you also have to remember there's different ways to look at it. Are you talking about your first name? Like, so in your case, is it James? Are you talking about your last name, so Collins? Are you talking about the combination, like James Collins? Are you talking about J. Collins? So there's different ways to look at personal names. And also, what makes it even easier to trademark is if you add to the name something else. Like, for example, James Collins Accounting, or Collins Accounting, or J. Collins Accounting, or something like that. Even though the word accounting by itself may not be anything but generic or descriptive, the combination of that plus the name could make it trademarkable. Now, there's a lot of variables here, which is why it's always recommended that you do a proper trademark search and actually not do it yourself and have somebody do it for you so that you could get an opinion as to the chances of your brand being trademarkable. And the reason you want to have a specialist do the trademark search for you is that if their opinion is that it's not really trademarkable, they will usually be able to suggest ways to maybe add something to it or tweak it a little bit to make the trademark, even if it's your personal name, more trademarkable than your first option, than your first choice. So is James Collins trademarkable? Can you trademark that? Again, depends on which country, depends on which products and services, and really depends on what part of that personal name you want to trademark, and also depending on how well known your products and services are to the public under your name. So these are the variables you'd be looking at, and hopefully that answers your question. And if it doesn't answer your question specifically, you're welcome to book a call with our strategy advisors. They'll get on the phone with you. It's going to cost you nothing, and we'll see if we can help you get this trademarked. Now, if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe, because we answer questions about trademarks all the time. There's a new daily video coming out, and all I talk about is brands, trademarks, entrepreneurship, stuff like that. So if you went through this whole video to this point, my guess is you'd find a lot of other things you would find interesting on this channel. Subscribe now, hit that notification bell, and we'll take it from there. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.